All right, good evening, everyone. Meeting is called to order. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the business administrator, board secretary, has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, please.
Carr,
Here.
Mr. Clavijo,
Here.
Ms. Goff,
Here.
Mr. Palouse,
Here.
Mr. Reicher,
Here.
Ms. Sanford,
Here.
Mr. Totaro,
Here.
Mr. Turco, Mr. Doyle.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the school district. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question during the public portion of the meeting, you may submit the question by accessing the Q&A feature on the bottom of the Zoom screen, or you may submit a question via our Board of Education email address at hawthorneboe@hawthorne.k12.nj.us. When submitting questions via Zoom or email, please be sure to include your first and last name, address, and email address, followed by your question. We will do our very best to answer all questions in the order in which they are received. If for some reason we are unable to answer your question, someone from the district will respond using the email address you've provided. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to speak during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm that the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. All right, that being said, our first public be heard session, agenda items only. All right, Mr. Sprito, you want to see what we have in our Q&A box?
Sorry, I was muted. There's a question from Alma Morel, 61 8th Ave. Good evening. Question about item 823 with these. Will the superintendent report out the district's CUSAC self-assessment score for the 5 DPR areas? No, I was not planning to report that out in terms of the scores. That's those are not our as you know, Dr. Morel, those are what we assessed, our own self-assessment of our district scores. We did share those in our C&I committee with our curriculum instruction committee, but we're not going to be sharing those actual self-assessment scores tonight. We're just approving the DPRs for approval so that they can be submitted to NJDOE, who will then conduct our CUSAC review later this year. Once that CUSAC review is completed, we'll obviously share that report, the outcome of that review with the community. But again, this first part is just the self-assessment that we conducted internally.
Mr. Sprito, do you have any emails coming in?
No, I do not.
All righty. I don't see any other questions in our Q&A box. I think we can move on from our public be heard. We're going to move on to approval of the minutes from the November 17th, 2020 regular meeting. And I will entertain a motion for that.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco, Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, moving right along, we're going to jump into our student council representative report. Allison, I think I see you there. Why don't you go ahead and give us your report?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This month at HHS, our student activities took a turn as we transitioned into a necessary fully remote schedule, but continuous adjustments have been made across the board to accommodate for everyone. In the Media Center, all online resources remain readily available to students and staff, as well as new additions such as stress relief activities, workshops, book talks, and afternoon chats. Highlighting this month in the Media Center was the remote hour of code on Thursday, December 10th, which took place during our Computer Science Week of Education. The Hour of Code is a 60-minute introduction to computer programming designed to demystify code and give participants a chance to play around with coding, create their own games, apps, and art. Students, teachers, administrators, and our superintendent, Mr. Spirito, joined the remote gathering, able to choose their individual level of play and program, as well as receive a badge of completion and certificate of participation at the conclusion of the event. Also in the library this month, Book Talks featured weekly guest appearances by faculty members talking about their favorite books, all of which are available to students in ebook and audiobook formats. Students feeling trapped inside are able to enjoy Mrs. DiGeronimo's virtual guided tours of Gothelbrook Park, which include an up-close look at new information boards, the newly built children's playground, park birds and wildlife, the various fitness trails, and even an inside peek at the new Passaic County Art Museum. Additionally, continuing its Year of Diversity celebration, in December, the library features books, activities, and announcements highlighting International Human Rights Day, Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. In Bears sports news, the girls soccer team won their division this season, going undefeated in the league. This marks Hawthorne's first league championship since 2005. Unfortunately, the girls team lost in the regional finals to Mountain Lake, which was their only loss of the season, but regardless, the team had an exceptional season, and we're extremely proud of the effort and success the coaches and players put forth this year. Girls soccer player Brianna Andrioli was also once again named Player of the Week by The Record for her stellar performance, an additional accomplishment of which Hawthorne is very proud. The upcoming winter sports season is currently on hold due to our closure and state regulations, but as of now, we are anticipating a start to winter sports as 2021 begins. Basketball, winter cheerleading, and bowling are allowed to begin their season when we return on January 11th, though no concrete timetable or schedules have yet been released. Winter track and field is set to begin on February 1st, while wrestling and volleyball are planning to begin on March 1st. As we approach these dates and stay up to date on the newest guidelines, Mr. Mazak, our athletic director, will continue to keep coaches, athletes, and parents updated. The Share Club at HHS has also continued to remain active, and this month has partnered up with the Hackensack University Medical Center's Children's Hospital. To help spread joy this season, the club is taking part in gift donations via an Amazon wish list by which the children were able to select specific toys they would like, and members can directly purchase these gifts for them. With minimal news to convey, that will do it for our December HHS report. Thank you, and just in case I don't speak again, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday break.
Thank you very much, Allison. Great job as always, and right back at you. Happy and healthy holiday season. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Spirito, we're going to move on to your report, please.
Okay, thank you. So just to piggyback on a couple of things that Ally mentioned, I do want to just mention that all of the updates regarding the NJSIAA and our sports schedules or timelines for winter sports, spring sports, virtual schedules. All of that is on our website under our Restart and Recovery page. So if you're interested in taking a look at that information, it is available to our community. Again, if you go to on our district webpage, in the very bottom, our Restart and Recovery page, there's a whole section for NJSIA, which includes winter sports timelines that Ali mentioned, as well as there's already spring sport timelines that have been posted and some other information as well. So feel free to avail yourself of that information if you're interested in looking at that information. I would like to also piggyback on, Ali mentioned our hour of code, and I want to thank Mrs. DiGeronimo and Mrs. Aransky. You know, I can even show you, I even have my certificate to prove that I attended. But I appreciate Mrs. DiGeronimo organizing this event. You know, it's something we do every year. I actually participate every year. I think it's a lot of fun. And she did it virtually this year. She organized a virtual event for our Hour of Code. I did have a chance to participate along with some others, Mr. Brislin and Dr. Jabona, and some of our students from Hawthorne High School. So I appreciate Mrs. DiGeronimo organizing that for us. You know, hopefully going forward, we can participate in person again. But again, thanks to Mrs. DiGeronimo and Mrs. Aransky for assisting with that. I want to take a moment to recognize and congratulate our Governor Educators of the Year in Hawthorne this year. So we have honorees, or one representative from each school, and here they are. So our Hawthorne High School Governor Educator of the Year is Mr. Ryan McMahon. Congratulations, Mr. McMahon. Our Lincoln Middle School winner is Mrs. Jacqueline Monero. Our Jefferson School winner is Mrs. Laura Mazzacca. Our Roosevelt School winner is Ms. Jacqueline or Jackie Drexler. And our Washington School winner is Mrs. Bezlira Bajrami. So congratulations to our 5 Governor Educators of the Year. You know, obviously, we look forward to honoring them, hopefully in person later on this spring. I had the privilege of honoring them either virtually or in class. So what I did, along with our principals, is those people who are teaching from the buildings, I actually went to their classroom with the principal and with our masks on, and I had a chance to personally congratulate them in person. Some of the others who were teaching remotely, I was able to jump into their Google Meets and surprise them, and in front of their students, congratulate them as well. So I had a chance to do that again in front of students as well. So it was nice to be able to do that. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring them to our board meeting later this year to honor them. And our goal, as I think I mentioned at a previous meeting, because we were unable to recognize last year's winners in person, because that would have been last May, we're hoping to bring last year's winners and this year's winners together later on in the spring to recognize them. So congratulations again to all of our winners. Okay, diversity committee update. I just want to update the board that we held our third diversity committee meeting on December 10th. And our first meeting with the Institute for Anti-Racist Education and Miss Ashley Lipscomb. We had a great meeting. She was able to walk us through thanks, Tamer. You know, what's going to be happening this year with our committee. We also welcome some new members. We added a teacher from each school, from each level, and as well as a member of the Hawthorne Pride Alliance. Mr. Michael Stracco is now a member of our committee as well. So excited about the committee, our new members. And again, it was nice to be able to kind of get the ball rolling with this new partnership with the Institute for Anti-Racist Education. If you're interested in following along and seeing what we're doing as a committee, also on our district website, on the very bottom of the page, there's a whole tab for that Diversity Alliance Committee, and you can see the agendas are posted there. All of our members are listed there. And I can tell you that more information will be forthcoming in regard to surveys and focus groups as well. So we'll be sharing that information on that webpage as well as through our real-time notification system. Tonight, we're going to just briefly want to mention that tonight we're going to be approving our CUSAC self-assessment. So what districts are required to do every year, while you're in the process of being evaluated, is prior to the Department of Education coming into the district to evaluate you, each district completes their own self-assessment of the standards of DPRs, district performance review standards that are required as part of that CUSAC review. So we've conducted that self-assessment, and the process now is the board approves that. We did share that with our C&I committee. I'm sure Ms. Goff is going to mention that in her report. We presented that to our committee. We also have a district committee, which included board members and teachers and administrators and representatives from all of our stakeholders in our district. So we went over that self-assessment with all those stakeholders on our committee. And the process now is the board will approve it tonight. We then upload that to the DOE with the DOE homeroom webpage. And then that is used when they do their assessment, their actual assessment later in the spring. So that's the process, and that is one of our agenda items tonight. Just a couple of other things. I want to mention just briefly about snow days. I know there have been a couple of questions from parents recently about how we're going to handle snow days this year. So typically in a typical or normal year, when we have a snow day or we have a day where we're unable to be in school, we call a snow day and students remain home. And we have 4 days built into the calendar every year for those reasons, not just snow, but any emergency, situation that would require us to close schools. Okay. So, however, this year, because of all that's going on in remote learning, the Department of Education has allowed districts to use a virtual or remote learning day in place of calling a snow day. Now, as you're aware, I sent out an email yesterday alerting parents that we were going to try to hold a morning session on Thursday, and we were going to relieve the students of their responsibilities in the afternoon to enjoy the snow. Now, please know that this is not, somebody mentioned that this is our new policy. This is not a policy that we've implemented. It is going to be handled on a case-by-case basis. For this particular day, we're going to use just an afternoon. We're going to have the students participate in the morning and hopefully have them be permitted, or not hopefully, but will be permitted to enjoy the snow in the afternoon. Going forward, we'll determine how we're going to handle that, whether we're in school or we're remote. That will play into the decision. I can tell you what played into the decision for this Thursday was a number of things. Number one, we considered closing schools, but one of the things we thought about was the fact that we have had much more limited instructional time this year than in normal years, and we are concerned about the instructional time that we're providing for our students. We also considered the fact that a week from Thursday we'll be on winter recess or holiday recess. So we are close to a break. And the other things we thought about were, we have a long winter ahead, and we're concerned as well about things that happened just this week, right? Just this Monday, we had a situation where Google, we had an issue with Google. And, if we ran into a situation like that down the road, that could close us, because if we're not unable to access our Google Classroom and our Google Meets, we wouldn't have any way to communicate with our students. So we're trying to be a little cautious, especially because it's so early in the winter. And those are all the things that went into the decision not to call a snow day. Please know that we're not trying to be difficult. We're not trying to make things unpleasant for our students. We're just trying to be, cognizant of the fact that we have a long winter ahead of us and some other challenges, possibly with remote challenges as well with online learning. Now, I will say that let's hypothetically say that Thursday, the conditions are bad and we lose power. That could require us to call an actual snow day. That is possible. We're hoping that doesn't happen, but if it does, and we have to make a decision to call it and use it as a snow day because we're unable to communicate with our students, well, then it is what it is, and we'll make that decision when we get to that point. All right, but I just wanted to communicate that why we made the decision that we did. Okay, speaking of remote learning, I will tell you that, one of the things that not only are students learning remotely this year, I have learned remotely this year, not only as a college student, but as a superintendent as well. So just some of the things I've participated in over the last month, just to give you an idea of some of the trainings that I've participated in, some of the webinars. I participated in a school security, readiness and emergency management for schools. It was about conducting a K-12 site assessment of our schools. I participated in that. I participated in a multi-tiered system of supports program by Rutgers University. Our CUSAC trainings were remote this year, which were normally in person. I participated in an equity and diversity program called Leading with Equity, the Hidden Bias of Good People. It was run by AASA and a gentleman by the name of Dr. Bryant Marks. Really a great program, actually. And then I've also participated in a number of programs revolving around social and emotional learning. One was called Stress Less. It was run by Tri-County Behavioral Health, and it was organized by Miss Weger in our guidance department. She's done a heck of a job of organizing trainings for staff, and we're going to be offering some trainings for parents in the weeks ahead. So I really want to commend Miss Weger and her guidance staff on the programs that we've had internally, and I look forward to some of the programs we're going to be offering to parents going forward. Speaking of programs for parents in our community, you probably saw the email that went out tonight. Miss Weger worked on a partnership, has created a partnership with West Bergen Mental Health to create something called a warm line, which basically is available to all of our parents and students and community members. And it's free. And it's basically, there was a flyer that went out tonight, and it said, in an effort to support our families during the holiday season, West Bergen Mental Health is offering assistance with a warm line. It is a service where you can contact a clinician. It is available starting immediately through January 31st. It is free to anyone in our community. There's a phone number, and you can call anytime between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. They're received by the West Bergen Access clinician and then returned by a West Bergen licensed therapist. All calls are confidential. And then there's some other information as well on the flyer. But it's a great new partnership. Again, it's free service to members of our community. And again, I have to commend and thank Ms. Weger for all that she has done. And if you're looking for more information, including that warm line flyer, also on our website, onto the Restart and Recovery page, there's a whole section from our guidance department, and all that information is there. Okay, last two things. Sorry, I'm a little bit long tonight. Couple of thank yous. I want to start by thanking Mr. Bert Alkus. Bert, as you know, is a
Rick, no one can hear you.
We lost you at Bert.
How about now? Am I back? That's weird. Okay. So Bert Alkus, again, longtime board member, supporter of our district. I just want to thank him. He offered to recover one of our training tables. It was ripped in our trainer's room, used for our student athletes, and he donated that recovering of that training table. So thank you to Mr. Alkus for that. Also want to take a moment to, and I'm sure there's going to be others tonight, to thank Mr. Doyle. As we know, tonight is Mr. Doyle's last meeting, and I want to just say that it's been a pleasure to work with you, Mr. Doyle, for the past 6 years. As we all know, Mr. Doyle served for 6 years as a board member, 2 years as a trustee, 2 years as our board vice president, and 2 years as our board president. Has played an integral role in the passing of our referendum back in 2019. And, you know, as the superintendent of schools and on behalf of everyone in the district, I just want to thank Mr. Doyle, tell him how much we appreciate the countless hours that he's dedicated to this board and to our school district and to his role as a board member. As you all know, it is, you know, it's a job that you do because you care about the well-being of our students in this community. It's, you know, it's a thankless job, often considered a thankless job, but one that's important for our school district and again, for our community. So I just want to thank Mr. Doyle for his contributions and his leadership over the past 6 years and obviously wish him well with all his future endeavors, whatever they may be. And then finally, I just want to, as Ali mentioned, just wish everyone happy holidays and a happy and most importantly, healthy 2021. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Spirito, and I appreciate all the kind words. And I got plenty to say as well, but I'm going to save it for my favorite part of the meeting, comments and concerns through the district. So I get to say the last word tonight. So I'll wait to the bitter end to get it all out. But I thank you very much. Moving right along, Alex, I think we got something to talk about with negotiations.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. Negotiations pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Negotiation recommends the following resolution on page 3 and 1. Whereas the Hawthorne Board of Education and the Hawthorne Administrator Supervisors Association have negotiated a successor collective negotiations agreement for the 2021 to 2022, 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 2024, 2024 to 2025, and 2025-2026 school years. And whereas the HASA has, by a majority vote of its membership, ratified the CNA, now therefore be resolved that the board hereby ratifies and approves the terms of the CNA for the year, for the terms mentioned, which is attached to this resolution and made a part thereof. And be it further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the board president and the business administrator board secretary to execute on behalf of the board the CNA by and between the board and the HASA. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion with regards to the settlement of this contract?
I just want to take a time to thank everybody that was part of the effort. Obviously, Mr. Spirito, Ms. Angle, our fellow committee members, Mr. Palouse and Ms. Sanford, and to the HASA. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavia,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Abstain.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, Abby, please take us through curriculum and instruction.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommend the following resolutions. CI2 through CI11 on page 4. And is there anything on the addendum for me? No. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. Abby, right back to you for personnel.
Sure thing. The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, P12 through P17 on page 5, and on the addendum on page 10, P28 and P29. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. Alex, we're back to you for finance and administration, please.
Absolutely. Finance administration We have a donation listed on page 6A. We have an acceptance of a donation of $1,000 to Hawthorne High School from Columbia Bank to be used to improve instructional uses in the one-to-one program. This donation was processed through the Hawthorne High School internal account. Thank you to the Columbia Bank for their generous donation. On page 6, F18, pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following. F18 to 823. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
second,
All right, we have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Trudy, would you please comment on F22? That information wasn't readily available by the time we had the Finance Committee meeting, please?
No problem. So that's additional CARES money that we received. And we're just sitting down. It'll be Rick, it'll be Dr. Tribona. We're going to sit down and discuss how we want to allocate the money.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Taro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, moving right along to claims. Joe, I believe you just had your indoctrination, I should say.
Yes,
Your
I
first
did.
time doing the claims.
Thank you.
All right, have at it.
Thank you, Mr. President. In accordance with NJSA 6A:23-2:11B, C3, and C4 on page 6, CL24, approval of the December 2020 bill list. It is recommended the board approve the bill list for the month of December 2020. I have reviewed same. Second.
All right, we have a second. We have any discussion on the claims? Roll call, please.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
With reservation on any bills related to Northern Regional Educational Services and PCTI, yes on everything else.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, moving right along. We're up to buildings and grounds. Anthony, please take us through that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions on page 7, BG 25 through BG 27, carries over to the top of page 8. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a second. We have any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
With reservation on BG 26 and BG 27, yes on everything else.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
and Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, keeping it moving along. We're up to our committee and liaison reports. We will start out with Alex with Finance and Administration, and if there's anything for New Jersey School Boards.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance and Administration, we met remotely last Tuesday. Topics of discussion included the audit presentation. The auditor presented to the committee. Once again, the auditor found had no findings and finds the district to be in sound financial health. The due date for report has been pushed back. They're still waiting on some information to be released from the state. The auditors, like in the past, can come out and present to the board. That's our decision to make. Obviously, this year probably would have to be also via Zoom. But the good news is that once again, the auditors find us in good sound health and there's no findings, and just take a minute to extend our appreciation to Ms. Trudy Angle for spoiling us up to this point, just 1 year after the next with sound good news from them. So thank you, Trudy. The next topic was FEMA requests. Basically, at this point, we're waiting to get any updates on the submissions that the office has submitted over to for refunds. That does it for finance, and no report on NJSBA. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alex. Referendum committee, there has been no recent need for the referendum committee to meet. However, there are things to report on, and there's a lot of crossover. So as usual, I'll let Anthony cover that under buildings and grounds. So Abby, I'll move on to you, please, for curriculum instruction and policy.
Sure thing, Mr. President. Hold on, let me just close out let me get to my notes. Okay, so the Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on December 5th at 5:30 p.m. virtually. The major discussion was on CUSAC and the self-assessment. Again, there is legislation awaiting vote and signature from the governor. Could come at any point in time, but the self-assessment was due today. So we went forward with the self-assessment and did everything just as we would have. If the legislation goes through, there would be a 3-year stay on anyone who was up this year. So it just be as if we submitted it, but we're going through the motions. So we will await and see what happens. There is a self-assessment that needed to be done on our behalf and presented today. The 5 areas of self-assessment are instruction and programming, finance, governance, operations, and personnel. We self-assessed at 100% in finance, governance, operations, and personnel, and in the area of instruction and programming, for which the data was based on student performance from the years 2017 and 2018, as well as 2018-2019. We scored at an 84%. This again is a self-assessment to pass, quote unquote, CUSAC. We need to attain a score of 80 in each of those 5 categories. So we will wait and see what comes back from the state, but we look like we're in really good shape. Thank you to Dr. Trebona and everyone involved, Mr. Sprito. This was a bear of an undertaking amidst all of the chaos, but the numbers looked really good. Additionally, we spoke briefly about the possibility of running capstone projects such as TREPs and other things of that nature, even if they're in a limited capacity and done virtually, just to preserve somewhat of the experience for these students. Other things, the Wax Museum, the roller coaster projects, just so that the kids get some of that experience. And we spoke about the calendar, which Mr. Sprito shared with all of the committees. And that was it for CNI. And we did not have any policy meeting this month, Mr. President. So I'm all done.
All right, very good. Thank you, Abby. Anthony, we're going to have you cover HEF, CPAC, PTOs, and buildings and grounds, please.
I'm going to jump, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to jump right into buildings and grounds, and the committee this month didn't meet because there wasn't a lot going on, but I did reach out, and thanks to Mr. Chamberlain and Mr. Sprito, I do have some updates. So for ongoing projects, on December 9th, PSE&G did go out to Roosevelt School and increase the pressure. I don't know if anything's changed since I got this information, but we are still running off the temporary boilers, but I believe the boiler manufacturer should be going out and firing up the new boilers so we can, move on from the temporary boilers. Over at the high school, we recently passed the plumbing inspections and are still awaiting the final electrical inspection before we can get our final approvals. We've already passed the building and fire final inspections. Moving over to Lincoln Middle School, the plumbers were finishing up the gas lines into the student workstations in the science lab, and then we'll be able to call for final inspections there. All air purifiers throughout the districts in each classroom have been prepared and installed, including the installation of 2 filters, one being a HEPA filter and also 2 UV lights for each unit. And during the closure, the custodians have been in each of the schools conducting additional cleaning, painting classrooms, hallways, and other common areas. Now, moving on to some referendum information. Here's some future projects that we're, projecting. Hopefully, in the spring, we can do all the interior doors and exterior doors in all the schools. We're scheduled for getting bids in December, and if all goes well, installation could hopefully begin in early spring of 2021. In the summer of 2021, we are hoping to have all the fire alarm systems in each of the schools upgraded, emergency generators in each of the schools, the media centers, music room, and art rooms to be renovated in all of the elementary schools, the high school media center and service and server rooms for the, we're looking to condition, air conditioning, but that's tentative at this point. And also tentative is the Hawthorne High School Auditorium air conditioner that we've been trying to get there. And either in the spring or summer, we're hoping to install wall graphics in all of our schools. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Doyle, can I just add two things?
You absolutely can.
Thank you. So just real quick, the heat situation at Roosevelt, just to update everybody. So the everything's installed. Public service finally came and upgraded the service, as Mr. Palouse mentioned. We're just waiting for the final inspection in the sense that they're going to come and fire up those boilers and make sure everything's running properly. And we're hoping that before the holiday recess, that the trailer will be gone and the boilers will be running heating the building. So we're hopeful. Everything's in place. It's just a matter of getting that final inspection now that everything's in place and the service has been upgraded. The other thing I'll just mention that happened today, this is brand new information. So we had the bid opening today for the doors. I don't have all the details yet, but as Mr. Palouse mentioned, that project will be going forward in the spring. So that bid opening was today for the interior doors in all schools, and the bid opening for the windows at all schools is scheduled for next Wednesday, the 23rd. So we are moving forward with those bid openings with the hopes of having those two projects start this spring.
All right, thanks for the update, Mr. Sprito. Anthony, I just want to make sure we're good on HEF CPAC PTO. We can move on.
That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, buddy. Tanya, we're going to move to you. Anything on the legislative front?
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, this month there are quite a few. There was one bill that was passed into law, and then a few that were advanced by the Senate committee. So the school audit delay bill, on Friday, December 4th, Governor Murphy signed legislation that would provide school districts with additional time to file their required annual audits with the Commissioner of Education. The measure provides a 2-month extension to file the audits. So that was the one that was passed into law. The following bills were approved and moved forward to the Senate committee, by the Senate committee. The New Jersey CUSAC relief, it postpones the CUSAC review for certain school districts to help them respond to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the bill, any districts that were designated as high performing in their most recent review would automatically have this year's review postponed until their next scheduled review, which would be 2023-24. On December 17th, this bill is expected to pass and be sent to the governor to be signed into law. So we're waiting to hear about that one. It's not fully passed yet. The diversity and inclusion instruction requires school districts to include instruction on diversity and inclusion as part of the implementation of the New Jersey student learning standards. Under the bill, instruction would highlight and promote diversity, including economic diversity, equity, inclusion, tolerance, and belonging in connection with gender and sexual orientation, race and ethnicity, disabilities, and religious tolerance. It would also examine the impact that unconscious bias and economic disparities have both at an individual level and on society as a whole, and encourage safe, welcoming, and inclusive environments for all students, regardless of race or ethnicity, sexual and gender identities, mental and physical disabilities, socioeconomic status, and religious beliefs. School Discipline Task Force established a 10-member task force to examine, evaluate, and make recommendations regarding discipline policies and practices in New Jersey public schools, including any racial disparities in the implementation and effectiveness of the policies. Reporting discipline data requires a school report card to include a demographic breakdown of students who receive disciplinary actions. It also requires the Commissioner of Education to establish a statewide database concerning various disciplinary actions such as in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, expulsions, referrals to law enforcement, and arrests. School discipline guidelines directs the New Jersey Department of Education to develop school discipline guidelines to assist local school districts and charter schools in enhancing school climate and improving school discipline policies and practices. Sunscreen policies require school districts to adopt a policy concerning a student's use of sunscreen and sun protective clothing, such as hats and sunglasses while outdoors, at school and school-sponsored functions. Anti-bullying law revisions makes various changes to the state's anti-bullying law and improves harassment, intimidation, and bullying reporting and investigation. Cannabis review to support extended learning time establishes the New Jersey Community Learning Program in the Department of Education to support the provision of comprehensive extended learning time programs in certain areas most impacted by the criminalization of cannabis. And assessing COVID-related learning loss requires the Commissioner of Education to prepare 2 reports on the impact of the COVID-19 public health emergency on public schooling. The first report will be a learning loss report that identifies and quantifies the impact of the COVID-19 public health emergency on student academic outcomes. The second report will be a report on the continuation of school services during the same period. And that's all I have for this month.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Marco, anything on the council level?
Thank you, Mr. President. As per my review of the council meeting from December 2nd, 2020, there were no items that pertain to the Hawthorne Board of Education. Thank you.
All right, very good. Lou, anything to pass on Passaic County School Boards?
I'm sorry. There was a meeting held virtually on December 7th. The main topic of discussion was the new medical insurance as compared to current medical insurance policies. It's not something that is new to us. We were all made aware of it, and that was about it. It was nothing earth-shattering other than that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Lou, no problem. Anthony, I think you had something else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I forgot to mention the HEF and high school PTO Wheel of Education is still going on. You can tune into the Facebook page on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. and just put in, if you don't know where it is, just put in HEF and high school PTO Wheel of Education, and you should be able to find it. It's a lot of fun, so if you have an opportunity, come check it out. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Okay, very good. I think we covered it all. We're going to move on to our second publicly heard portion of the night. As a reminder, when submitting questions or comments via email, please be sure to include your first and last name, your address, and your question. Otherwise, we will not entertain your question. Thank you very much. That being said, public be heard. How are we doing on emails, Mr. Spirito? Anything in the hopper?
No, there are no emails right now.
All right, I don't see anything in our Q&A. I'll give it a couple more seconds. All right, I still don't see anything in our Q&A box. How are we doing on emails, Mr. Spirito?
No emails.
All right, very good. We're going to move on from public be heard. We're going to start out with old business. And we're going to start out with you, Bruce.
No, I don't have anything for old business.
Okay, Tanya, any old business?
No, I don't have anything either. Thank you.
Alex, how about you?
None, thank you.
Abby?
No, sir. Thank you.
Joe?
Nothing, Mr. President. Thank you.
Marco, any old business?
Good, Mr. President.
Anthony?
Nothing for old business. Thank you.
How about you, Lou? Any old business?
An old issue that could probably be a new issue moving forward. just my own thoughts for the administration. With everything being the way it's been the past 9 months and residency probably being very fluid, and the district having probably thousands of dollars of Chromebooks out there, just a suggestion that maybe we could consider some type of residency check, re-registration sometime in the next 6 to 8 months. Just a thought. That's all.
Okay, not a bad idea. Thank you, Lou. I do have something on the old business very quickly. Very early on in the year, our policy committee got together and we discussed implementing a social media policy as it pertains to board members. We reported on that once or twice. We got the ball rolling, and then COVID, we got fully involved in COVID, and it kind of took us a back seat, which is obviously very appropriate. Moving forward, I'm not going to be part of that policy committee, but I do think it's a very important topic, and I truly, hopefully, hope that the committee at some point when time avails itself, that you retake up that cause and look to implement that social media policy for our board members. I think there's tremendous value in it. I know we've discussed it, and there seemed to be that agreement that we would implement it at some point, but I understand how to take a back seat, but let's hope we get that back to the forefront. And at some point, again, time permitting, we should probably look at our employees' social media policy and maybe reevaluate that as well. Moving along to new business. Bruce, anything?
No.
Tanya, new business.
No, thank you, Mr. President.
Alex, any new business?
No, thank you.
Abby?
No, thank you.
Joe?
No, sir.
Marco?
No, sir.
Anthony?
No, thank you.
Lou, any new business?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Very good. All right, moving on to general comments and concerns as it relates to the district. We'll start with you, Bruce.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mrs. Burrito for the partial snow day in the afternoon, because I know it actually is a hot topic, believe it or not, in a lot of places. And a lot of people thought it was a very good decision, like including here, of like, let the kids go out and play and whatever, is going to happen. I know it's on a case-by-case basis, but it was very well received here. And I think in the district too, that let kids be kids. There's been a lot of articles about it. And I'd just like to congratulate Mike too on the 6 years on the board and being the board president. Always have enjoyed working with you and, getting through all the things we did. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of shining moments in your report, but the referendum might be the top one, and maybe just in time, with the Chromebooks before what we're going through now. So thank you so much for the past 6 years.
Thank you, Bruce. Tanya, anything?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to echo everything that Bruce said. First on Mr. Sprito, I want to thank you for, there are no easy decisions. You have had a really strenuous, challenging year, and you can't make everybody happy. So for all the people that wanted the snow day, there are just as many who did not want a snow day because they were concerned about the lack of instruction. So there is that fine line, and I think you straddle that line beautifully, and you really do such a great job with the districts and the kids' best interests at heart. So thank you for all these hard decisions and for what you do. And Mike, thank you for all your guidance and your leadership throughout these years. You're irreplaceable, and I'm very lucky to have worked under you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Pretty funny how we ended up Bergenfield Bears and then Hawthorne Bears, huh?
And I'm telling you, that's it. We're just,
doomed to be Bears, right?
They're always
All right.
Bears.
Thank you, Tanya. Moving on, Alex, any comments?
Yes, thank you. Along with, wishing parents, staff, and students a happy and healthy holiday season. I also want to thank them, and it's been said before, to everybody for being patient and bearing with us. And there's been no mold for this year, but has been said so many times. Everybody's trying to do the best that they can with the circumstances given. And, it goes without saying that I think we've been able to navigate the circumstances thanks to our awesome team and police a lot better than it could be. Also want to thank Mr. Doyle for the honorable service as a parent. Thank you for the years dedicated to the school board, and best wishes to you.
Thank you, Alex. Abby, we're up to you.
I would like to echo all of the sentiments. Happy holidays to our community, healthy and happy new year. It can only go up from here. I'm knocking on wood. Huge thanks to our administration and staff for everything that they've done this year. It's not been easy, but it has been all worth it. You guys are doing a great job. And Mr. Doyle, the community I know appreciates everything that you have done. I'm not sure anybody but the 8 of us beside you fully understand the extent of your commitment. Unless you're up here, it's really hard to see the depth of what you've done and accomplished for everybody, and the selflessness. And we really appreciate it. I appreciate it as a parent as well, not only just as a board member, but you will be missed. And I will carry your social media policy torch for you. I think we were just waiting for the attorney at that one meeting, and then he didn't show up. So I promise to add that back to my notes and keep that going for you. So best of luck to you, friend.
Thank you, Abby. And I know you'll carry the torch. I appreciate it. Joe, anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to echo what Mr. Sprito said earlier. I want to congratulate the Governor Educators of the Year. Thank you for continuing to do a wonderful job for our district. I'd like to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season. And as the new kid on the block, and based upon what's happened over the last 8-9 months, I must be the black cloud. Mike, I just want to say your class act. Thank you for helping me get involved. You're one of the reasons I did get involved in this board, and your leadership will not be forgotten. Again, thank you again for everything you've done, and I can't reiterate enough. You are an absolute class act.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thank you. Marco, anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, appreciate the hard work and efforts on behalf of Trudy and the clean audit. I said this last year, and I don't think we all realize what it takes, let alone to manage our own checkbooks, but to manage a district and its accounts. So I truly appreciate her hard efforts. Also, congratulate again the Governor's Educator of the Year Award winners. To be honored during these unprecedented times is extraordinary and a testament to your hard work. So I greatly appreciate that on your behalf. And lastly, I'd like to extend my thanks to President Doyle for the extensive contribution, both as a trustee and as a president to the Hawthorne School District. You have cleared a path forward for continued success for the Board of Education. And it would be apropos for tonight's meeting, finally, Mike, finally, that we have been able to get old business, new business, and general comments correct. So we shooting as such, but and happy holidays to all, and happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. And as they say, it better late than never, right? Anthony, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I will echo a lot of what everybody's already said, but I want to say anyway, happy holidays to everybody. And thank you, Mr. Sprito, for the partial snow day, because my son asked every teacher today why he can't go out and make snowmen and do snow angels and go to Golf Park and go down the big hill. So thank you for that. I'd like to conclude with, a little bit about Mike. 6 years ago, when I first ran for the board, I didn't know Mike Doyle. The very first meeting we had out in public, we immediately clicked. There was 3 of us. We fed off of each other's ideas. And right from that point on, we realized, that we were like-minded and we were going to work well together. I found Mike to be a patient voice of reason on the board, very calming presence. I found him to be honorable, loyal, and dedicated. He was dedicated to his family, his friends, his fellow police officers, and pretty much anybody who needs him, he will be there for them. So I just want to, take this time and say thank you for everything you've done over the past 6 years, the past 2 years as board president. And although you won't be here, I feel that I have a friendship for life with you. And God bless and thank you for your service.
Absolutely, Ant. Right back at you. Thank you very much. All right, Lou, anything you like to say?
Oh, I think I could find a few words. First, to everyone in the district and of course my fellow board members, a very, very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to everyone. And may the new year be happy and healthy for everyone. Michael, I've been here the better part of 24 years. And I remember the very first night, I didn't meet you, but I was in your presence. And you stood up at a meeting and fought for your child with peanut allergies. First step you ever took into that boardroom, you were a class act, and you're going out the same way. In all the years I've done this, Mike, you are one of the best and most sincere and honest and trustworthy and exemplary board members I've had the pleasure and the honor to work with. I hope we see you back here because there will be opportunities. But if not, I understand. God bless you, you and your family, and the best of luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you very much for the kind words. All right, I do have some things I'm going to say. I'm going to try and make this quick, guys. Forgive me if my eyes are not focused on you because I had to write it down. So yes, it's been said, sadly for me, this will be my last official BOE meeting as a trustee. I do want to take an opportunity to thank all of my family and my friends and the 4,747 people who voted for me. Words cannot express how humbled I am by all the support. Once again, I would like to extend sincere congratulations to Dr. Alma Morell on her election and to Anthony Palouse and Joe Carr on their re-election to the Hawthorne Board of Education. I truly wish the best of luck to everyone. As I have previously stated, I am disappointed beyond measure that I will no longer have the opportunity to continue serving this community in the capacity of a board member and work towards improving the Hawthorne School District. Over the last 6 years, I have been remarkably fortunate to be part of a board who was able to provide the encouragement, resources, and support needed for our superintendent and his administrative team to implement new goals and a vision which has put our district on a pathway to success. To say I am extremely proud of everything we have accomplished would be an understatement. More importantly, I cannot emphasize enough how our students, staff, and the entire community have benefited from the strong leadership, educational values, and the overall desire to succeed that has been exhibited by our superintendent and soon to be Dr. Rick Spirito. Recently, I have been asked what I consider to be my biggest accomplishment as a board member. I have to say hands down, and Bruce, you said it, you hit it right on the head, Bruce, that being a part of a team that was able to pass a $24 million referendum by far is the greatest accomplishment this board has achieved over the last 6 years. The many projects, repairs, and improvements we will be able to implement over the next few years will undoubtedly have a positive, lasting effect on the entire school district for many, many years to come. Although the job will never be finished and there'll always be work to be done, I leave my service on the board with my head held high and a sense of accomplishment and confidence that this district is moving forward and enacting changes for the better. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and although you may not know why it happened, there is always a plan. The man upstairs has chosen to complete another chapter in my life much sooner than I anticipated. I'm very anxious to see what he has in store for me next. Tanya, I just want to take a moment to wish you and your family lots of luck and happiness with your upcoming move. You will be dearly missed. To the entire board, I want to thank you for your years of service and dedication and overall willingness to work towards improving the Hawthorne School District. As we all know, and it was said before, and unlike many other elected officials, as a BOE trustee, you receive no salary or benefits for your time. It is strictly on a voluntary basis. With that being said, I hope you all continue to donate your time and work for all of our children. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and I want to wish everyone a very happy and healthy new year. I believe we have no executive session tonight, so I will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Need a second? You got a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please, Trudy. Make it a good one.
Mr. Turco,
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Paluce,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
and Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, everybody. I see you when I see you. And keep your eyes open. You'll get one last email from me to haunt you. All right. Take care.